Okay, so I'm live right now, just getting started with everything for the day. Um, it's been it's been kind of like a little crazy, so I'm just gonna actually adjust this screen because it's a little intense. Just make it a little bit larger. If you'll let me. All right, so what I'm doing today is the sketchbook challenge video that I've talked about recently. The most recent studio vlog, which I put up yesterday, kind of mentioned it, and I've also talked about it on my Discord server with everyone on there. And the idea was to basically do a challenge of drawing like a. So the idea is to do like a challenge of drawing in my sketchbook as if it's a 40-hour work week, 40+ hour work week. Just recently lost one of my main sources of income, which kind of sucks, but it's whatever. It's happening to a lot of people. It's fine. And the goal is just to sort of stay really positive, and that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna just keep positive. We're gonna try not to worry about that so much, and yeah, we'll just see kind of what comes of it. I gotta just open up YouTube really quick. Sorry, never prepared for these things. So this is gonna be a super long stream. I'm looking into some music options as well, so it's not just me sitting here drawing in silence. So it shouldn't be too bad. All right. It's also super early here right now, so I'm not expecting to have a lot of people on board watching, but we're just going to start in a minute. And let me just go back to some recent pages. This is from the last stream that I did, these two pages here. So we have this like Rose page and a few other things that I've been working on. Nice, we just got another sub on the channel. Sick. So we're already off to a good start in the morning. We got one person watching. I'm just pulling this up right now for the chat. All right. So yeah, I'm just gonna take this page so it's set up, and we're gonna just do the pop out chat. Cool. All right, guys. So we're gonna get into the stream now. I'm gonna just keep OBS open, and I'm not really sure how this is looking yet. Let me just double check on YouTube itself. Seems like it's working just fine. Double check on YouTube itself. All right, looks like we're good. So yeah, audio and everything looks fine too, so that's awesome. I don't know why the screen is distorting like this on Streamlabs. It's been an issue that I've been having for a while. It keeps doing that, so if anyone knows how I can fix that in Streamlabs, let me know. It's been really frustrating. Everything looks fine in Streamlabs, then I go live on YouTube, and then the stream is like this little weird square. It's like all pushed in and crushed, and it looks awful. I don't know why that's doing that. Troubleshoot that really quick. Sorry, guys. All right. So then I got that figured out. Sorry again. Just checking what's up with the stream. So it looks like there's just an issue with the Streamlabs output in the live scene itself. So I guess it's in the settings somewhere. I missed it. I must have messed it up somewhere. Let's see, stream. Can't change the stream settings. Unbelievable. All right. So yeah, the base canvas. All right, I'm gonna stop this stream just for a second. I'll be right back. I don't know if anyone's watching yet. I'm sorry. Let's see. All right, we're gonna be right back. I'm just gonna end this. It's not letting me do that either. All right, we're gonna roll with it. Looks like the screen resolution is what it is. I'm sorry. This is like a really frustrating thing for me too. So sorry, guys. Okay, got this going. Because like on my screen here, everything looks fine. And then I'm looking at it, and it's like all like crushed down into a square for some reason. So that's interesting. We're gonna pull up all our reference images. We're gonna do all that, and I believe I have a license for Artlist, so I'm gonna try putting some Artlist music on in the background, and there's a link to that. It is an affiliate link, so if you're interested in any of the music you hear in today's stream, as long as we don't get shut down, you should check them out. If you do any video work or creative work, it's a really useful asset to have. I'll just test the audio. There we go. A little bit better, right? All right, so we're gonna warm up. Again, all the music is going to be from Artlist. That's they're like a subscription-based platform for music for creatives, and I just started using them actually like last month, just because I couldn't find any good royalty-free music, and they offer licensing. So everything you're hearing is directly from them, and this is just like random songs. I don't have it like on a specific playlist or anything. We're just gonna kind of go with whatever. And let's pull some images real quick too. Feel free to put suggestions in the chat, or if you have any questions about anything at all, that's totally fine. That's what it's for. Alright, we're going to warm up with, let's see, we did roses last time, we did scorpions and insects as well. And I'm gonna switch to this page, it's more comfortable. I'll do this other page afterwards. Alright, you know what? I am going to warm up with a rose just because I'm more confident in my ability to draw those, no problem. So that's what we're going to go with. Let's get that arranged. Alright, yeah, so I'm going to warm up with doing just a little bit of a fast rose drawing. I'm not using any like circle templates, I'm just freehanding everything, we're just going for it. Let's put another light on as well. Sorry, that sounds terrible. Alright, sorry about that. Okay, we're ready to go. Oh, nice. We got some more people on the stream, guys. Welcome. It's super early, I know. Well, at least it is for me. It's like it's almost 5 a.m. here. I'm gonna try to keep up with all the chat and stuff too. So if you guys want to ask questions or anything like that, feel free. I have some links in the description too. You guys can check out for things like where the music is, like what the music's coming from, and all that. I'm just warming up really quick, and I'm drawing this rose without reference, so it's gonna be a little kind of a bit wonky. I'm drawing with a really small pencil and a pencil holder, and these don't really give you the same sort of feel. They're just kind of like a weird feeling, so not the greatest thing to kind of warm up with, but we're gonna just go for it. I might even ink these drawings from the last stream just to warm up a little bit. It's really early, I'm really tired, I couldn't sleep, so that's why I decided to start now instead of like 7 a.m. But these were from the last live stream, and people seem to really like these ones a lot. So I did a lot of like different testing to see what was like working. Just kind of like messing around, drawing a bunch of stuff, filling a full page. We're gonna do this for 8 hours. This took me to do both of these pages a little under 2 hours to do. So we'll see how much I can crank out. I will be doing the backs of these pages, but the sketchbook is just too awkward to draw on like this right now. So we're going to draw on this main part, and then I'll probably flip the sketchbook over at some point. Once I get halfway through or all the way through, and then we'll do the other side. I also have this running on, I believe, Facebook as well. So this is my first time Facebook streaming. I think it's showing up. We'll see. I don't know if it's actually. Yeah, it's not. It's not showing actually. Oh well, that's fine. I don't want to deal with that anyway. Yeah, so actually there's a link in the description through Streamlabs. You can actually donate in that link. So you can donate there. I'm sorry about the shipping thing. Anywhere to ship outside of the US is usually pretty expensive. But yeah, you can donate in the link in the description that says donate. I can actually, let me pull it up for you, and I'll just post it in the chat. I appreciate the support. Thank you. Seriously, I really appreciate any support. It's awesome. Just pulling up some more references. I think we're gonna do kind of like a mix. It'll be like a lot of tattoo flash style stuff, and I'm gonna start moving into more studies of things that I don't normally draw too often, just to kind of have something more interesting to do. And I think we're gonna do some like lady heads and maybe some moths today, some daggers, just like, you know, cool things to warm up with. Nothing's too crazy. Summertime, maybe I'll do some summertime stuff. Yeah, let's do some summertime stuff. I'm gonna freehand some things without reference. We'll do some like watermelon, some like lemonade. The best thing about doing the watermelon slices, keep them flat. Just do pizza slices. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for joining the stream. It's awesome. We have it says 5 people watching now, so that's great. Thank you, guys. Yeah, this rind just doesn't look right. All right, we'll leave that one. We'll do another one up here. A little bit smaller. Let's do the lemonade. We'll do the kind of a whiskey glass or something instead. I'll actually need a reference because I don't know what this shit looks like. But we're just drawing from the head right now to warm up. Thank you. No, it's any amount really helps. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Seriously, no, I really appreciate that a lot. I gotta make sure I have like the alerts sounding. They don't always sound. Yeah, I've done quite a few art collabs actually. I'm actually in the process of working on a few that I need to finish. I've just been kind of a little like stressed and it's been a little hard to focus on them. But I have one actually with another YouTuber that goes by Tenzing. He's a young artist. He's like a 17-year-old kid, super talented, does a lot of street art stuff. We have a sticker collab we're working on together right now. So he sent me some stickers. I actually need to draw on those. I actually might do that in the live stream later today if I get tired of sketching, but done a few of those. Did some collabs with just a couple other people I like follow on Instagram that their handles are always changing, so it's hard to remember them. But if you're on my Instagram feed, you usually can see a lot of the collab stuff. I usually post stuff in my stories. I don't keep a lot of like old posts in my main feed anymore. I've started curating it, but honestly, I'm kind of overdoing that. I think it's just a bit of a waste. Alright, so we're just drawing some traditional style tattoo stuff with some like fruit. And this is all just from my head. This isn't with a reference, so some of them might turn out a little wonky, but that's okay. It's kind of what we're going for. Forgot to set a timer to see how long I've been streaming. Whoops. What does it say? 25 minutes. Oh man, it's going to be a long one. Oh, we got the classic cherry design. I'm also looking to get some paint markers in where I can paint one of my own toys. Just I haven't had time to really even paint any of my own original vinyl toys, so it's kind of crazy that I haven't done that yet. So I'm going to try to do some customs of my own pieces and some ideas I've had, but I just don't have a place to set up an airbrush. There's just no way I could do it. But it'll probably just be like paint markers and like regular acrylic paints, and it'll be kind of like an easier process. I get these cherries. These are looking kind of like super new school to me. I don't really like that, but we're gonna just roll with it. What other summertime things did I do? Yeah, the copyright thing's been pretty bad. So I have a subscription to Artlist, which is a like a license that I own and pay for. So I should be able to play this music without any issues. If it gets shut down for whatever reason, I'll start another stream and then I'll find another solution for music in the background. All right, trying to think of like another summertime fruit that's not gonna be too complicated to draw. We could do like a simple pineapple, and we'll move on to some other images. Just warming up still. Trying to draw a pineapple without a reference is really hard. I don't even know what this is. Not a pineapple. Yeah, that's true. I could do some of that. I didn't even think about that. Like some beach stuff, surfboards, umbrellas. All right, there's my my pineapple without reference. These are just loose, light sketches, and then I'll usually go over it if I like an idea. I'll go over it with blue and actually finish out the detailing. Surfboard. Yeah, we can do that. Actually, we can use this. This is a flexible curve or flexible ruler. So this is one of my favorite tools. Actually, I just picked another one up because my old one finally snapped and wasn't really flexible anymore. So this literally just came in 2 days ago or something. The cool thing about it is you can actually make a curve and you can easily mirror it. So like we're gonna do a surfboard and I want a consistent curve. Just do that and then flip it over and kind of match it up as close as I can. And you can be more precise and take measurements and all that, but you just don't need that. But yeah, it's a really helpful tool. It's a little bit more handy, in my opinion, than just regular French curves. They can be a little too static, and they don't really work super well. Yeah, we'll do a single fin. I want to know what you're into. Like, can you let the past go? I can tell by their heartbeat. Your last dude was an asshole. In and out like it's all of the time. Commitment ain't even a thought on his mind. You can settle, but the feeling ain't right. Tell me what you feeling tonight. Yeah, also the likes on the videos really help out. So if you guys are watching and you like the video, definitely go for it. Hit the like button. It helps the channel out so much. It's crazy with the metrics on YouTube. I've been trying to do a bit more research on it, and that's the one thing that everyone says I need to really focus on is just getting the likes up and the watch time up. But yeah, we broke 600 last week. We had 1 subscriber as soon as I started the stream, so that's awesome. If you're watching now, thank you for joining. Yeah, no worries, man. Take your time. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all these chats here.
You want to know what I'm into? I can't let the past go. The man of your dreams, huh? Tell me how that goes. Like, what did you ask for? And what did you pass for?
Sorry, just catching up on the chat here. Yeah, man. No worries. Whenever you can make it back.
We need to fight. Make up to break up, don't feel so right. Propane be fueling the city.
There's some stuff that's popping up on one screen that's not showing up in the chat box, so you might want to retype it again and just send it through. It's not consistent all the way across the board. Sorry, that song was too slow. So you guys can kind of see this too. I use these pencils until there's literally almost no pencil left. So that's why I have these little extenders. But it's a little too short to sharpen, so I gotta switch to the blue side. Yeah, the pencil extenders, that's always an issue for me too. These ones aren't bad. I got these off of Amazon. They were just like some basic ones, and they hold pretty much every single pencil. And I got the ones that are a little bit larger, but if you tighten them down more, they'll just crimp the metal. Kind of see if I can show you guys that. Sorry if this got a little knocked out of whack here. I didn't even realize that was that bad. That refocus, come on. All right, so yeah, this little part of the knurling, if you can kind of see that there, that's actually like pushing down into the pencil so it doesn't go anywhere, so you can get like a decent amount of size ranges. But yeah, they are a lifesaver. Otherwise, if I couldn't use pencils down at this point, I would go through twice as many, I swear. There's still so much graphite left in these, especially these double-sided pencils. There, we got this little single fin fish surfboard drawing almost done. This is actually kind of cool. I might turn this into something like a vector or whatever. So it's good to do little sketch exercises like this if you do a lot of graphic design work and you need little spot illustrations. It's a great way to produce a lot of ideas for assets. I do a lot of stuff in the skateboard industry right now, and a little bit still in the surf industry as well. They're pretty interconnected still to this day when it comes to like overall aesthetics and designs. It looks like we went through an entire playlist on here. Yeah, Prismacolors. I love Prismacolor pencils. I go through them so quickly, and the fact that they're hard to erase on like really crappy paper. I try not to use them as much, but I usually use them for like gray tones. And then the Faber Castell or Faber Castell, however you like to pronounce it. I have like some in here, I think. Those are my go-to for black colored pencils. I think they make a slightly nicer one. Yeah, this one, this this model of pencil. It's the Polychromos pencils. These things are sick. These are absolutely amazing. They're a great alternative to Prismacolor. Where I am, they're a lot cheaper than the Prismacolors. They're actually like I'd say like maybe 30 to 40% cheaper than the Prismacolors that I can get. So I actually prefer the color in these a lot more. I think it's a little bit smoother. It's just got like a nice rich color, and it's a little bit firmer of like a wax lead than the Prismacolors. So great stuff. Yeah, actually, I like really cheap supplies when it comes to drawing materials. I get bulk of like the things that I like that are a bit more expensive, but I use China markers all the time because they're inexpensive. So like the classic Sharpie China markers and the Stabilo brands, those are a bit more expensive, but I'll get those in bulk as well. So these are great for like deep rich blacks, and that's actually how I do all the sort of peppery shaded looking tattoo flash. And then as far as like inks and stuff go, I use like FW fluid acrylics, some watercolors. Watercolor lasts forever. I have a bunch of different brands. Like no real favorites. Like there's like a Japanese watercolor set that I got that I've had for years, and that's like one of my favorites as far as color palette goes. But it's not necessarily like my only option out there, you know. And I also use Speedball Black, so classic Speedball India ink. Sorry, coffee break. Yeah, they do that, man. They hang out. I have a super old building, so we've been getting a lot of carpenter ants lately. Out of nowhere, it was just like I've lived here. It's like my second year living here, or this will be my second summer, I believe. I think it's technically my second summer here. Maybe it's my third summer. Damn, it'd be absolutely insane. Yeah, we never had any like pest issues until this year while I've lived here. So it's just we have all these carpenter ants everywhere. I'm like, where did these come from? I'm starting to feel a little bit more warmed up. We'll do a few more random doodles on this page, I think, and then we'll start pulling up some more references. And I don't know why this keeps just not playing. So we're going to try. There we go. not too bad. Might do some big cat heads in a little bit as well. Once I'm feeling a little bit more. Yeah. if the songs are like terrible and you guys can't stand them, let me know. I'll change them. This is literally all just off of like a random like playlist on here. There's like no order to what's gonna play, so. All right, let's pull some references. So I didn't do any skulls in the last stream. Mainly because everybody makes fun of me for drawing skulls all the time. But I'm going to draw a skull now. I've been good, haven't drawn one in like a day. And I usually draw like some form of skull every day. I'm sure there's like a way I could play really unknown artist, but eventually they'll catch on to. This is all just random stuff from something I have a license to right now. So I'm just gonna have it play. It's the easiest thing I know that I can actually use technically because I pay for a license for this music library. It's like meant for video creators, and it's like an all use, all fair use license for whatever I do video work for. Yeah, I can do some melting skulls, definitely. I actually have a bunch of I'm not sure how much you guys have like explored my older work or if you've seen it, but I actually have quite a few older illustrations of some melting skulls. This song's super slow and boring too. Not sure if this is much better. Yeah, I wish I could actually play like a lot of the like the punk and hardcore stuff that I grew up with. That's definitely not super mainstream. But I'm sure it would get flagged. It's more popular now, but alright, we'll do like one melting skull for sure. weird little melty skull. Do a puddle. Oh man, gotta get some cellophane tape or something when you see those things. Yeah, also just as like a bit of a shameless plug, on the website I rediscounted all the vinyl toys. So I have a bunch of them right now, and I am trying to like find new space. So I need to get rid of them basically ASAP. So trying to get those going. So yeah, if you guys are interested and you haven't had a chance to pick up a toy yet, you can now do so at a extremely reduced price because they're basically at cost right now. So I can just move the inventory out and try to like recoup a little bit while I'm looking for new work. But those are up on the website. In the US, it should still be like a flat rate shipping of like $10 for everything. And then I think there is free shipping once you get over a certain threshold. I can't remember what I have it set as. I'll need to double check. All right, let's see what else we can do. We can do some like weird elements. We can do some like weird clouds. I was watching a lot of Dragon Ball last night. I was feeling kind of inspired to maybe do some like Dragon Ball Flash. I think that'd be awesome. Draw a little Dragon Ball in here. Why not? There it is. Little Dragon Ball. Alright. What to do next? I guess I could do a slightly more realistic skull. I have this skull in front of me. So this is Dusty the Skull. It's like my little skull reference that I have here. Use this all the time. Pretty much every day when I want to draw a more realistic skull, this is like what I grab. So let's do a little quick skull study of this one, and then I can actually just hold it up to the light and pick a composition that I like and light source. We'll do a bit of this sort of overcasted light. And drawing realistic like this, where you're using a reference from life, is super important, really helpful. I don't do it as much as I used to. I used to do a lot more drawing from life, and I just stopped at some point where it was just, I'd get frustrated, or I just didn't have time to dedicate to doing that. When I'm doing stuff in the sketchbook like this, I don't plan it out. I don't plan a composition. I just draw, just to kind of warm up and get my hand ready. I want to start getting back into doing more drawings from life and portraits and things like that at some point. I'm not focusing on making the skull exactly perfect, but I do want it to have some realistic likeness. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you made it back, dude. So I didn't plan for this composition. Like I was saying before, I just started drawing it, so it's falling off the page at the scale I started. It's another reason it's good to draw with shapes instead of just starting to draw from what you're seeing exactly. Sometimes it's good to plan it out first and have shapes. Just when I'm filling pages, I never plan it out. I just kind of like start drawing. Yeah, if this music gets really bad as well, let me know so I can change it. It's all just random. There's nothing I've picked.
Pulling down the walls of cross, fighting through the walls blocks, looking for the day when we have one.
Alright, so there's like a little quick caricature of a skull. And we'll start going in and doing some quick shadows just to kind of warm up. It usually takes me about like a good 45 minutes to an hour and a half usually to really kind of get into a flow of things.
Someday we could all be free. Could change the world if we would just believe. 'Cause faith and love is all you need. This whole world doesn't see. Someday we could all be free. Yeah, we could change the world if we would just believe.
Just gonna also do some little warm-ups with some brushes. Just get used to the spring and snappiness of them. And we'll just start inking things. So I'm gonna let that dry up there, and then I'll ink some of the stuff up here, and then I'm gonna focus on this weird pineapple. And you know what? I'm gonna start from the bottom of the pineapple and then just work my way up. So that's like how I would probably actually plan it out if I was a little bit more focused. I have no idea what this music is. Hang on. It's not as boring.
You must be blinded by the lights. We came to shine here. Watch it look daytime in the night. We bring the vibes here.
All the music on this library is really dramatic. I don't know.
I say the same. You must be blinded by the lights. You must be blinded by the lights. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh. Hands up in the lines, not behind. Kaleidoscope of colors beaming from her eyes. What if I was LSD? LSD. Can't lose my mind like Kennedy. Kennedy. You see us cooking recipes. Recipes. You hit the top, all you left with is the memories. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, go on to have it is your purpose. We have some faith that who gon' hurt this. A naughty night, you lullaby. I'm doing me, it's do or die. You must be blinded by the lights. We came to shine here. Watch it look daytime in the night. We bring the vibes in. We full of life, you keep the change. Keep the change.
I'm sure there is like a other playlist I can find in the future. But right now, this is like all I know that'll be fine, so it's gonna have to do. Nope. How much is rent? A lot. Too much. Yeah, I actually just beat the new Last of Us. It was amazing. It's like the best game I've ever played. All right, and here's the little pineapple inked out. I made this a weird eyeball from before because I just wasn't sure what I was going to do there. I'm going to just keep inking a few different things and just kind of ink it in my style. I don't have a second sheet of paper, which I should have planned for. I did not. Let's see if I can. It's one of these old shipping label backs or something. Use that. Let's see. So I'll ink this little glass actually. It's good to warm up with a brush pen if you're not used to using them. I collect some of the 80s stuff. I like a lot of the stuff from the 60s and 70s more if I'm going to collect vintage things. I really like vintage kaiju stuff. So old Godzilla toys, things like that. I'm a big fan of. And then a lot of stuff from the 90s, just like being a 90s kid. So I love all like the old 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles toys because they're just absolutely absurd, super fun. What? Oh yeah, yeah, in the game. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I was bummed, but the rest of the story is just so good. If it didn't happen, the game wouldn't be as powerful, I think. But yeah, no, as far as like stuff I like to collect, I'm kind of all over the map when it comes to collecting toys. I like a lot of different things. I think like vintage stuff's really cool, but I've actually kind of obviously slowed down collecting. Just times are tough, so I'm not really as active in collecting. I do like a lot of newer artists as well, so I do collect. You know, if I see a bear brick I like or I can afford. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. Yeah, so if I see like a bear brick or something that I really like, I will, and I can afford it in the moment, like I'll get it. Or if I see just a random vinyl piece from somewhere that I like, I'll try to get it if I can afford it in the moment. But I don't know. Like I like going to Five Points Fest for that reason because I can just meet a lot of artists that I may have seen their work somewhere on Instagram or something like that, and I get to see the stuff in person. Makes a huge difference, honestly. Oh, and dude, I wouldn't worry about spoiling that. I wouldn't talk about it much more than that for that game, in case anyone hasn't played it. But yeah, that's been that's been all over social media. People have been spoiling that for a little while. I don't know what this super villain music is. Sounds like a Tim Burton Batman movie right now. Okay, well, who's that composer? Can't even think of the composer's name right now. I should have spent that time sharpening pencils to the dramatic music. All right, there's our little glass with some ice cubes in there. Now, for something like this, I would typically use like screen tones where you like cut them out and they have the different dot values that make up the shading. I think I have some actually stuck in this book. Yeah, I got some stuck on this page. These are like some scraps, little screen tone scraps here, if you can see that. But it's essentially a sticker with printed dots on it or other patterns that give you like a nice consistent pattern to create values and tones. All right, first hour done in the 40 hours, in the 40 plus hour stream challenge. Holy crap. Guys, this is going to be intense for me. Again, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, liking the video helps out the channel a lot. So please definitely like the video. So I accidentally got this brush pen on accident when I ordered one like last month. It's a little bit smaller than the traditional Pentel brush pen that I normally get. I didn't even know this one existed. It's a little bit smaller and springier. This thing's awesome. I don't know if there's a specific model name. It's all in Japanese, but it's got the little blue cap instead. If you're looking for a little bit more of a springy brush that feels like a Winsor Newton Series 7, it's not that good, but it's damn close for like a pre-filled brush pen. This has been my favorite one so far, is this little blue labeled version. The ink output's a little bit more controllable. It's still pretty good, but it's not as heavy as the regular black labeled version of this pen. It's just really responsive, which I really like. Another one that I also really like is the Zebra Fine brush pen. That one's probably actually my favorite brush pen, but I always run out of them so quickly because I use them all the time and I can never get them in stock fast enough. Yeah, I also have links to my kit, which is all like the equipment and stuff that I use and materials that I typically use. Those are all linked through Amazon, so that's like a part of the Amazon affiliate program. So if you guys ever want to check that stuff out, you can follow those links, and they actually help out the channel as well. If you're already purchasing from there, I'm looking for alternatives though, so I don't have to use Amazon or, have other people linked to Amazon. This song's definitely from some random cell phone commercial I saw this year. Yeah, the other thing I like about this one in particular is if you go really fast, the ink flow, because it's a little bit slower than the larger Pentel brush pen, you get those really nice dry brush look, like dry brush looking strokes and whatnot. So that's really cool. I think that's like an awesome feature about it for sure. Just being able to do stuff like that to quickly render out an idea, it's absolutely killer. And I did actually just pick up, well, not recently, but I did restock in some inking brushes to do more inking traditionally, like comic book style stuff, which I'm excited about. I haven't done that in a long time, so I might do that in a live stream. Maybe I'll do a few off camera first to get back into it, but excited about that. Let's see. Let's grab some fine liners. So let's see. We got. Oh yeah, this guy here. This the PN microns. I don't know what the PN stands for. I think it's like the pigment neutral or something. These are awesome. They have essentially like a really tiny felt tip, but it's a little bit firmer, so it doesn't like get crushed out. So you can get in there and really get some nice details. Great for lettering. I still got like a nice interesting line too. It's not just like a boring one. So it's close to like a 0.5, but writes a little bit smoother. Does occasionally have a hard time going over some of the graphite marks though. Any super fine pen where you have this waxy coating on it will have a hard time. Actually, I'm sorry. I think the NP is for non, or no, it's PN. Yeah, I thought it was for like non-phyto blue for a second. I was like, that doesn't make sense, but maybe. Yeah, but see the variation of line you can get. It might be a little hard to see on camera. So I'm using my phone to stream right now with an app. I tried getting a capture card. I talked about it in the last stream, but it just wasn't compatible with my camera or my iPad or anything, so I was really bummed out. The main capture card everyone recommends is the one from Elgato, the Camlink, but they're sold out everywhere and they're like being price gouged like crazy, so I haven't wanted to, invest in one because it's super expensive, especially now with things financially got a little bit more stressful. Don't see that that is something I can go for, but that's what all the stream donation stuff I have the goal set at for now is to invest in some form of capture card so I can actually use my DSLR camera to film this and you guys can get a 4K video. If I was as rich as Jeff as Bezos, I don't know. I don't know what I would. I definitely wouldn't do what he does. Wouldn't be a dick about my wealth. I think the main thing would be obviously to like buy property in my city as much as I possibly could, and then just intentionally lower the cost of living in neighborhoods and just start pissing off all the developers. That would be the funniest thing to me. That's what I would do if I had Bezos money. I would buy as many property as I could from other developers, and even if I was going to lose money because it just wouldn't matter if you have that much money in the first place, I would just buy all the property I could and then intentionally bring the cost of all the buildings down so all the other developers would have to go down and compete with it. That would be the ultimate for me. Just make Boston affordable again. It's always like a huge problem. I feel like it comes up with every stream just because it's such a constant problem and headache here. the cost of living, but it's all mainly because of how many colleges are here. All these kids come here. There's no place to live. Like there's no real housing. So what ends up happening? The schools and universities don't provide housing. They don't have enough dorms to facilitate how many kids they have coming in, which is generating millions and millions of dollars for them. But then they're just kind of here and they have to find housing. So people are able to jack up the price of really crappy condemned buildings like I live in to absurd numbers, and people just pay it because there's just no other choice. And once you're here, it's really hard to just leave. Like if you don't have an escape or family or friends left in a city, like my current situation where everyone's moved in the last, this past 2 years, everyone I know, like all my really close friends and family, have all moved out of Boston, which really sucks. But when you get in a situation like that, you're just kind of stuck here. You're just like treading water. It really sucks. I want to get out and go to another city. I want to try to go back to New York and live there for real, full time, all year. It's just hard. It's hard to do. It's another expensive city, but I think for the at least the cost is worth something compared to Boston. Like Boston is just one of those cities that's just way too expensive, really for no reason. It's not like an amazing city for what I do, so it's just kind of like I'm wasting money living here, but I'm stuck here and I can't really get out. So it's like you want to save money so you can leave, but you kind of can't because you're just constantly spending to survive in the first place. So it's like something I don't think a lot of people realize that don't live in like a major city, and they're not dealing with uh, the gentrification issues as much. It's a huge problem for people of all wealth class, different wealth classes, from middle class to poor to even people that are like slightly above middle class. It's really hard to get out once you're here, and then once you're stuck for a while, it gets a little stressful. Yeah, I mean, like as like a hypothetical, it's like you never really know what you do in those situations. Like I optimistically would like to do that, like that would be my personal goal, but so it's different for every person, I think. One of the other things I like to do with brush pens is lettering. So when I'm kind of stuck or I'm just bored or warming up, I'll do like a lot of different lettering techniques. And that's actually sort of something I was known for a while. Uh, you know, if you don't really know my work, I kind of come from a bit of a graffiti influence and tattoo influence background. If it's not, obvious, but the brush letters I used to do, people used to really like, and they're just kind of like these weird, wonky brush lines. And a lot of my work looked like this for a long time, where I had these crazy, big, bold lines like that. Yeah, no, I'm already in an apartment. I don't live in a house. I live in a pretty crappy apartment building. It's like a 3-floor, so it's decent, but it's just literally falling apart. Like the steps going into my building are rotting out from termites and shit. And there's not a single wall in my apartment that isn't full of just cracks. It's all like old plaster, slats and plaster, so it hasn't been renovated probably since the 70s, so it's pretty bad. Like all the windows are super old. In the wintertime when the wind blows, they shake. So, but that's common for Boston. A lot of people live in places like this. It's not like I'm, like 1 in a million living in a crappy place. Everybody, for the most part, that lives here lives in a crappy place. All right, music stopped again. Hang on. Let's scroll down a little more on this playlist. Again, these songs are random, so I'm not picking it if you guys are just joining into the stream. Yeah, really appreciate everybody that's on the stream right now. Really, really awesome to see. Pretty much had 5 people the entire stream, so that's awesome. It's really helping out with the watch time stuff on YouTube. So to monetize on YouTube, if you're not a YouTuber, if you're not familiar, it's kind of intense. It's an insane metric. You need to have 1,000 subscribers and over 4,000 total watch hours within 1 year, which is insane. And that was never really the goal when I started the channel. It was just to kind of like give information on different things that I was working on that I get questions about a lot on Instagram. So it was just kind of like a way to have a place to send people that ask me a lot of the same question over and over. And then I just really started to dig the community that's here, and it's been really fun. So it's been kind of nice growing on YouTube. Once I broke 500, I never thought like that was even a measurable metric I would reach ever on YouTube. So that was pretty insane. And now that we're over 600 on the channel, that's even crazier. So it's been really cool. I've met a lot of great people, and through the live streams and just like regular videos and starting the Discord server, which there is a link that I have kept active. I think I'm going to keep the Discord kind of open to the public until I'm ready to start doing Patreon and stuff again. But for now, yeah, it's completely free. You can join, you can hang out, share art, join the community that's formed on there. It's been really great. It's really supportive of everyone's just trying to learn and make cool shit, which is a real focus of what your art should really be, is just trying to be happy and make cool shit. I actually really like inking things that typically have like a monoline aesthetic, like Tattoo Flash, with a brush like this. So like American traditional stuff is usually 1 to 2 line weights max. But having this variation with a brush like this gives me a lot more like dynamic, a much more dynamic look than just the sterile look of a monotone line. Yeah, my art style, people say I have a style. I still to this day, I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't have a style. It's all over the place. I do so many different things, so it's just like, I don't know. I guess I have like a style, but I don't recognize it myself, but other people do. So I guess that's cool. I just kind of make shit, and then people are like, oh yeah, it's like, you know, it's like definitely your style. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about still. I don't see it. Because I do so much more than just tattoo flash style things. It's just when I'm, you know, drawing, warming up, that's what I like to draw. I don't know. I don't have to think about it. It's like really easy for me to draw stuff like this really quickly, just because it's simple, but it's a good way to get a lot of ideas out quickly. For me, even if I want to do something that's more rendered, I can still do that. I don't have to. I'm not limited to, you know, one specific style or anything. It just makes it so much faster to like push out a bunch of ideas really quickly, and I know that I can get, you know, somewhat of a readable image very fast. And then if I end up liking it all, obviously I'll render it out a lot more in detail and kind of finalize it and add color and hue and all that. And sometimes it's just fun to add it with the brush. Like add the different style elements just with your brush instead of relying on heavily rendering something out with just a micron pen or something like that. So another thing I like to do, I don't have the paper on me right now, but I'll usually take 2 pieces of scrap paper if I want to do like a fast dry shaded line like that. I'll put the paper down next to the 2 areas I want it to be, and then I'll just run the brush by really quickly. You can do it with masking tape and stuff too, but the paper is fine if you're just sketching, and you can get that kind of like rough shaded, dry shade, or like dry brushing look, and it doesn't end up laying too much ink down. You don't accidentally put it in areas you don't want it. And a sketchbook this large is really hard to turn and move around, so it makes it a little bit more difficult for me to get the lines the way that I want them to be. Specifically because I can't turn the paper as easily. The sketchbook's super heavy and I don't have a lot of desk space. Whew. Sorry, super tired. Yeah, that old gross out 90s skater style, that's the nicest thing anyone has ever said about my art. I really appreciate that. That's stuff I grew up on, is that like do it yourself sort of lowbrow like art, and that's something like I don't really strive for, I guess, but it's the default. So it's nice to hear that that does come through. It's a huge influence on my style is old skateboard art and skateboard graphics. It's like the most creative thing I've ever done in my life is skateboarding still to this day, obviously. But it's completely influenced every bit of creativity I pretty much have.
Looking so handsome, oh you have your way, and it's making me weaken. You and your styles, walking like that. It's really getting too much, but I can't pull back. Though I try to resist, I can't fight this. And no one makes me
All right. So that's kind of like how I do a bunch of random warm-up drawings. I'll do a couple different mediums. Usually it'll be like pencils and stuff, and then a couple ink pens or bike rods. Alright. Let's pull up some references and we'll start doing something else. I'm going to switch to a clean page. We're going to switch back to some pencils. Just going to sharpen this pencil real quick. Sorry. So I have an electric pencil sharpener, but when the pencils get this small, they don't fit. So I have to use a hand sharpener, which is technically better anyway. But if you can see how small the gap is on that pencil, it makes it a little bit more difficult to sharpen and to put in the pencil holder. So I'm gonna stick with the red side, and we're just gonna try to see if we can get a point. So if I go any more, then the pencil holder won't be able to hold this. So we're gonna just stick with it. Got just like a full-on zoo over there, huh? Let's see. What else can we warm up with? What else can we draw? Let's do some. We'll do some fire studies. So, fire is a popular element to add to any illustration. So why not? We'll do that right now. We'll focus on just weird, kind of filigree and weird elements to add to illustrations to make them look a little bit better. So yeah, we'll focus on fire and like drips, and clouds, and weird patterns and textures that add some more dimension. Let's see. So we got the classic, really simple representation of fire like this. So that one's pretty simple. It's usually got like a lighter core, And then we have directional fire, which is usually when it's like coming out of like a window or something like that. I usually draw like some references if I want to do something like that, where it's kind of like a small flame, but it's pretty tight. It's usually like windows. You see this type of fire coming out of. It's usually drawn like a solid, massive color. There's not much going on in there. Yes, I'd love to do more sculpture stuff. It's just right now the space is limited. Materials are kind of toxic. Yeah, man, it's hard for me to imagine me being a millionaire artist with my current situation. But yeah, I mean, it'd be cool one day. But for me, it's just like I want to make just cool shit, and you kind of need money to do that. So it's nice when money comes in, but I always just push it back into making some other weird thing. Manufacturing stuff is just like one of my favorite things to do. It's just an interest of mine, so it's kind of like a hobby. So I learned how to make enamel pins a really long time ago, and stickers and other like really simple things of merch, which are a lot more accessible now. But when I first started doing that stuff, you had to really hunt for it and find it. And it's still my favorite thing to do. I love making weird products and merch that people don't really see every day. Things that require like specialty printing or things like that. Those are my favorite. So I actually want to get more into doing that. I'm planning for October. So if I sell a lot more of the toys, I can move that inventory and it allows me to kind of pay off some of the loans from that. I'll be able to kind of invest into some other weird ventures of making other cool products. And I try to do all the stuff that I can on my own that doesn't require me to go to a factory or something like that. So that's the stuff I usually try to make first. So starting the toy journey, I was able to use resin to do those. And then eventually I was contacted by a manufacturer to do the vinyl. And doing a vinyl was always a dream. So I've talked about this a few times in other streams, but yeah, it's just kind of like a building process. Patches, I've done that before. I worked for Converse and I worked in their innovations lab before I did my graphics gig with them. That was my last big assignment as a freelancer. So I worked on a contract with Converse and I did stuff in their innovations lab, which is all basically making samples and manufacturing concepts and figuring out how you would make something in sort of a production sense. So I would make sample shoes and clothing and all sorts of different things there. And I learned a lot from that. So it was a really cool opportunity I had there. But once you figure out how to do one thing, it kind of opens up doors for other things. And then you start combining the weird skills that you learn. And that's something that I think is really, anyone can do it, but I think the problem is like the information is really not accessible. So you really need to kind of have a way to get that information and then find a way to share it creatively in a unique way that people want to engage with. That's really the goal for me with the channel, has always kind of been that, to kind of show how I do things that I get questions about. So when I first got access to a laser cutter, I immediately, like, I've worked with laser cutters or people that had laser cutters. I would design files and send them out. But when I was working there, I had access to a laser cutter pretty much whenever I wanted. So after I would work all day there, I would actually I would make kind of different things for the laser cutter and just come up with ideas and merch ideas and test out prototypes. I definitely miss having that as a resource. It was such an amazing place to utilize after my work day. I would just like, I'd still be there like another 5 hours after I was done with my shift some days, just to kind of like make different things and learn anything I could possibly learn and experiment with resources that I would never have on my own because they're just so expensive. So that's one thing I always recommend to people that are lucky enough and fortunate enough to be in school or anything, is utilize those resources, because you're not going to have them forever, and it's really easy to take that stuff for granted. But I know it's like a lot easier said than done. But anytime you have access to resources that are not easily accessible to the public, learn as much as you can about them and make as much work as you can with them, because once those resources are gone, you're going to think about all the times you need that resource. Can't tell you how many times I'm like, man, if I just had a laser cutter, I could do this one thing really easily that I have an idea for. This is more like a cartoon style bit of flyer. Pretty good. What else we got? Do slightly more like animated fire. It's another flat one, like a slight curve. I'm actually drawing from a reference that has a lot of different bits of fire on it, so these aren't all just from my head. I'm just making my own. But it's good to do little studies like this, especially if you do a lot of t-shirt graphics. These are simple elements that you can add to a t-shirt graphic and instantly change the look and feel of it really quickly with really minimal effort. So I actually, yes, I lived one of my best friends, Andre, years ago. We had a place together. He did a lot of video stuff then, and I didn't really do video as much then. But we actually worked together in one of the skate shops I used to be a manager at. So we worked together with our buddy Gabe, who's the owner of that shop. And we had a lot of crazy life experiences. I mean, the things that we had to do to survive back then were pretty nuts. I've talked about it also in the past in other streams, but definitely some of the hardest times in my life were with that dude. And if it weren't for him, I don't know if I would have even come close to where I am today, creatively, or just, you know, even just the ability to survive wouldn't have been possible without that. And I definitely missed it. But as you get older, it's like those things sort of separate, and it's hard to kind of live like that. And as people's careers go in different directions, it's hard to kind of be in the same trajectory as far as success goes. So it makes it a lot harder to kind of like have that set up. But that's what is good about getting into a good studio space or like an artist collective. You can combine your resources that way. And I always tell people that too. If you have the ability to work with others that have similar goals and ambitions and use similar types of tools and equipment, being able to combine your resources in a creative space is super important, because you can easily get more equipment together and have it in one place. Everyone feels responsible for it. It's just hard to find people that have maybe the same amount of motivation you might have. That's the problem I run into a lot in Boston, where a lot of people talk about wanting to make really cool shit and wanting to make work, and then it just ends up being them talking about it, and then they never want to make anything when it comes down to it. I've run into it, I'd say once a month, where someone's like, "Oh, I want to do this thing. We should collab on a project." I'm like, "Let's do it." And I'm ready for it, you know. Like, I'm gung ho for it, and then all of a sudden there's all these excuses as to why they can't do something, and it just, that's something that's you'll run into a lot when you're trying to like build out a space or like build resources. And on paper it sounds good, but everyone's afraid to do it because it's an expense and it's a little scary, obviously. But if it's with people that you really know super well, it's not scary at all, and it's really a great thing. It's just all my friends have basically moved out of Boston. All my really close friends that I've had for years here that do creative stuff, they've moved to larger cities, and I'm just kind of stuck here because I've been on a couple contracts, and now I'm just trying to get out. But with COVID, it's not happening anytime soon, and with all the work really dried up, I'm getting a few jobs here and there, but it's not enough to really sustain long term. But yeah, sorry, went off on like a little tangent. But yeah, no, combining your resources is great. I don't know if like necessarily like living with another creative person makes it a better experience if you're both struggling. It can be kind of really stressful. There's a reason the cliche it's feast or famine when you're a freelancer. Those are the two mindsets and experiences you have throughout your year. So there's times when you're really up, and then times when you're really down. And just before COVID, I was kind of like in a transitional period with income wise, where things were like starting to look really up, and then COVID really took effect in the U.S. and just shit all over all my plans for the year. So it's fine. It's like I was sort of, you have to have contingencies and plans in place, because it can happen out of anything. Could happen in the world when you're a freelancer, and the floor will just collapse underneath you, and you gotta kind of figure out a way to stay up. But that's why I'm kind of just trying this challenge out on YouTube, seeing how much I can grow on here and push myself to get out of creative block and a lot of the self-doubt I've been having lately. Just as a creative, you run into that a lot, where you're constantly comparing your work to others, and it gets to be like a stressful and vicious cycle sometimes, where it's not necessarily the best thing. But this is just like a personal challenge. I'm going to try to do this where I'm just drawing for 40 hours in a sketchbook. So yeah, there are places like that. There's like maker spaces around, but they're kind of expensive, and because there's not enough to go around, it's hard to sometimes get into them without it becoming like a full-time thing for you to be there and volunteer. So a lot of them work like a volunteer service, where you want to use equipment but you can't afford a membership, so you'll do volunteer service, but then it ends up just basically being a full-time job doing the volunteer work, and then you get to use equipment once in a while. To an extent, but it's a little bit harder because my income is all over the place. Some years I make more money than I've ever made, and then other years it's the least money I've ever made. It's just all over the place when you're freelance, and I do a lot of contract work, but right now the world is really uncertain in as far as like the world of manufacturing goes for the brands that I work with. So I have no idea what I'm going to do. There's resources available, but they're not so easy to really get. Like, it's talked about, like, oh, you could just do this, but it's in actuality, it's not that simple. It's not that easy. It's not that cut and dry. Yeah, I think the whole thing with like the virus is it definitely should be taken seriously. I think there's, in the U.S. right now, with everything opening up super early, it's not necessarily a good thing. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still around, and it's definitely a problem where people just don't believe that it's real, or they don't take it seriously. But don't want to get into the politics of it. It sucks, and I'm taking it seriously, so that's the thing, But yeah, like everything's just kind of like shut down for my income resources. I usually have like a couple clients here and there. Like I have a few things that are in the pipeline, but they're not really big jobs. Like a few $100 here and there, which is definitely helps, but it's not enough to really like live in a city like this. The average cost of living here is insane, so just kind of stuck right now. This music is so damn dramatic. Alright, not as dramatic. Sorry. I was like, what is this that I'm listening to right now? It's actually kind of nice drawing these little flame elements from a reference, because there's fire styles that I don't draw normally. Like, I just don't think to draw them like that. Look at that, already learning something. Oh, nice. We just made it to 7 views. I think that's the most views I've ever had at one time on the here. Oh, no, sorry, actually 9 was. But awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in, checking it out, as I do the most insane challenge I've ever done in my life. A 40-hour sketchbook streaming challenge. For everyone just tuning in, I feel like I'm a broken record on it, but if you like the content, definitely like the video. It helps out a lot. Sorry, I didn't realize that was so out of focus. I hope it wasn't like that the whole time. But yeah, if you're enjoying the live stream, definitely like the video. It helps the channel out substantially. It's one of the heaviest measured metrics on YouTube for discovery and things like that. And I have a bunch of stuff in the description if you guys want to check that out, as far as like links go and all that. So that's all in there. And feel free to jump in on the live chat and join the conversation. Yes, I didn't really post a lot of places, so this is cool that a lot of people are tuning in. This is mainly from like the Discord and just people that happen to be on YouTube right now. So that's kind of awesome. I've been on that break from Instagram for like the last few days. I'm just taking like a week break from it just because it's been stressing me out lately, trying to constantly make content for that. So I didn't post anything there either, and that's my largest audience and following by far. So it's like over 1,200 people on that. So pretty awesome. 7 people on a stream. Thank you guys. And I think I'll be able to go for a while before I take a break. Did list that before in the last studio vlog video that was posted yesterday, that I will be planning to do breaks during this at some point. But I can keep going for a while. I think I could probably do like another hour or 2 without a break. And you don't need to stay that long. Obviously, if you have things to do, this is just like a challenge. I'm doing for myself, and it's definitely going to help with my metrics on the channel that have been kind of dropping lately for whatever reason. So and right now I'm just drawing a bunch of different like fire elements, doing different studies of different things. So this pencil's almost cooked. Can probably keep drawing these flames for a little bit longer, and then I can probably switch to the blue side, but not much of this pencil left. You guys can kind of see. Thing's almost done. So we're just going to keep going with it for a little bit longer. I think you can draw a few more of these that don't really have really super sharp points. So we'll just keep drawing until I can't draw with this anymore. And then I'm going to switch to the blue side. And then we'll switch to the next pencil, which is also another tiny nub one, which is almost done. So this has got like the metal ferrule tip on there. So it's like a pencil and eraser. So and we'll switch to the next the next one that's almost cooked. Let's see. Let it be the thing that I am longing for. Let's fly out from Manhattan to the California shore, just to watch the ships at night on the San Francisco. And if anyone's new to the channel, and this is your first time checking some of my stuff out, and you're not subscribed, if you'd like to, you can subscribe. It'd be great. Really appreciate it. But also wanted to say thank you for taking the time to check out my channel and the stream. Let it be the night that I am longing for. Let's fly down south to Austin or to this fake Frank Sinatra is really top notch. Might be able to sharpen this a bit more. Don't say you need to run. Stop the clock on Central Station and we can have a trip downtown. Let it be the night that I've been longing for. Let's fly down south to kind of hard to sharpen, but nice. Might be too small. Damn it. What happens with there's not like enough for the pencil holder to hold on to? It just the nib moves around a lot. Not the nib, but the tip moves around a lot. Doing animation drawing, I would imagine it's one of the most aggravating and stressful gigs you can get. It's literally what I'm doing as a personal challenge. So as someone's career, they're just drawing, cranking out panels for 40 plus hours a week. Can't hold back your light and expect to win. Gotta go harder. Oh, you gotta learn. Don't suppress your fire, baby, let it burn. Nobody can take that away from you. Oh, say from the
the ground after the rain. We are aching for the walls to fall into the great enlightenment. Let's not wait until it's gone before we hit the highway.
Yeah, that's kind of like the entire world of freelance. Anything that like the creative freelance world. If you're on contracts like that, you can just be gone in a second. That's what happened with me with my first contract at Converse when I was doing innovations. It was literally just before like the holiday season, like 2 days before Christmas. I got like with no warning at all on a contract where I still had originally like over 6 months on, but there was a bunch of drama with one of the higher up people there that basically was mad at me for making a material that was really well, like doing really well and being really well received by other people there. And basically, this higher up person had a similar material that wasn't doing as well, or a concept that was similar, and got really upset. So I was like gone. And then like after a lengthy HR discussion, I was given like another contract a few months later, and then ended up doing that for a little bit longer. But yeah, it'll just happen. Like times are tough, or they need to make something in the budget happen. They'll find a way. And if you're a contract person, you're always the first person to go, no matter what.
Let's not wait until it's gone before we hit the highway.
So much fire. Um, the not safe for work stuff. I feel like that's like a fairly niche market. If it's what you're into and like what you like to draw, or like your art style and like what you'd like to actually make and the subject matter, then do it. But I think if you're doing it specifically with that intention for it to be more like desirable or profitable, is not really going to help you long term in your career. Because if you're just doing it for that and you're not truly passionate about it, it's not something that you're really into as far as like subject matter goes, then you're just trying to appease people that are never really going to be fully happy with your stuff. Um, so like I draw some things that are considered not safe for work that are either like within somewhat of a violent or more sexual looking imagery, and it's not the intention for it to be overtly sexual or violent. It just ends up being that because of the subject matter that I'm drawing at that time. But I don't intentionally like do that sort of thing. I have been asked and commissioned to do sort of like weird fantasy art that kind of freaks me out, and I'm just not about it personally. So I've turned down people for that in the past, but if people really want something and it's not like too uncomfortable to do, then I'll do it. If it's like a commission thing, it's very few things that I'm like a pretty hard no on, but there are like occasionally things where I'm just like I'm not personally feeling it, so I won't do it. Or if something's just like straight up really shitty to do and like has a terrible message behind it, or if it's like anything that's like xenophobic or homophobic or anything like that, I will not do on principle, and just I usually tell those people to fuck off. All right, starting to move on to some like more of my favorite types of fire to draw, so I'm excited. Already filled up almost this entire page with little bits, but there's some other styles that I really do enjoy, and I'm kind of excited to get into the more classic comic book style. It's like a lot of the like older Kirby illustrations of things like Fantastic Four and the Hulk had this sort of weird explosive fire that I really think is awesome, and apparently most of it's made from how he would hold a Sharpie, so it's a little hard to imitate with pencil, but I'm going to do my best. as far as like other art projects and stuff in the works, there's always something. Nothing really like of notable value, to be honest. But I'm always like tinkering around with some idea, just messing around and seeing what I can come up with. But nothing really that I'm super hyped on right now. Just kind of a bit of some creative block. Excited to paint more and whatnot, but it's just hard with the limited space. Oh, bad. How long are we on? All right, 2 hours and 17 minutes. Well, we're under the 6 hour threshold, so that's cool. Day one going not too bad so far. Don't know if I could do this continuously, but I'm gonna try. I mean, this is intense. All right. All right, so that's, let's see, I probably got like 2 or 3 more styles I could try. Come on. Almost done. Almost done with this page. And then I'll do, you know what, I'll save this like last section here for how I personally draw fire, not from a reference. I'm going to try to do that and see if any of these styles are creating any influence and change on what I normally do. Let's see. Alright, there we go. That one's pretty good. Maybe one more style.